There ain't no place like home, they say. It's where I go to find my way, where everything is just the way.
Welcome back to the State Traditions Podcast, Episode 9, Week 2 of college football. Week 1's over. I'm John Willard. This is Jacob Kirschenbaum.
What's up, everybody?
Before we get started, let's tell everybody about our promo code.
Yeah, so we killed the last promo code because it was used too often, which is a good problem to have.
Yeah, we overkill a little bit.
Yeah.
So 35% off Game Day Podcast. All one word. Get you 35% off on the website. Basically giving it to you. We might as well be paying you to take our stuff.
Oh, yeah. And we got some great new stuff for fall. You know, this awesome Perry polo John's wearing over here.
If you like Auburn.
I mean, if you like Auburn, if you just want to turn heads at a tailgate, like, this is the polo to do it.
You can lay it down on the ground, have a picnic on it if you want.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of
checkerboardish, but, like, it's loud and proud, and it's something different. Like, nobody else is going to be wearing that at a tailgate.
No. It's one of a kind.
Oh, yeah.
Unless two people buy it, and then it's two of a kind. Anyway, moving on. Instagram reactions.
Yeah.
Thank you for whoever's commenting on our Instagrams, giving us questions, feedback. We got a good bit.
Yeah, we got some. We actually had a lot more than this. So we put up a story earlier in the week asking for your reactions to Week 1 of college football. We had a lot more reactions to this, but these were kind of the top ones that we picked out. If you're upset yours didn't make it, try again next week. We're going to be filtering through, obviously looking for stuff that is a conversation starter to discuss here on the podcast.
Yeah, so JB 1993 says hashtag Spurs up. Guessing he's going with the Gamecocks this weekend.
That is a bold statement, JB 1993.
It's a bold statement, but he's a fan, so
yeah,
that's what fans do.
I like it. I like the dedication, even knowing there's an impending doom of Georgia rolling in this weekend.
They do have home field advantage for them, but we'll have to see how that turns out.
Yeah.
At the Jared Ball, the calm before the storm. Not really sure what that means. That could be another Georgia. That could be a Georgia fan.
I don't know. I mean, it could be anybody because you had your 8 to 10 kind of marquee matchups this weekend, and then everybody else was just playing cupcakes, which you're going to see again this week. So maybe that's what he's talking about.
He might not even be talking about football. He could be talking about the storm that just rolled South Alabama. McAllister Dodson, 16, said not surprised. Not sure what this guy's talking about either.
He's got to be talking about Alabama. That's the only thing I could think he's talking about.
Is he not surprised about Tua?
Ooh, I don't know. He's got to be not surprised in their performance overall is what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ethan Miller, 54, says SEC over everyone else.
I marginally agree with this.
They probably played the best football out of all the conferences Week 1, so we'll kind of agree with that.
Yeah. I think right now, Week 1, SEC over everybody else. Rest of the season, we'll have to wait to see how it plays out.
We'll see what happens. At Dakota Show 0, I like this guy. VT could be a college football playoff sleeper contender.
That is bold.
That's an early, bold statement. I like it, but it's bold.
It's very bold. You know what? Here's something crazy. At Dakota Show 0, if you're listening, which I'm hoping you are, if Virginia Tech makes the playoff this year, we will send you a $50 gift card. And this is out there for everybody to hear.
And you can use the 35%
off
promo code on top of that, and I mean, you're gonna have a lot of stuff from State Traditions.
I don't think this is going to happen. I was pleasantly surprised with how they played, but like I said, I'm going to go bold here and offer this guy $50, not out of my own pocket, but $50. I bet this doesn't happen.
I'll back up 25 for you, so we'll split it.
We'll split it. Yeah.
At Red Clay Soul, the ACC might be a dumpster fire. Miami and FSU both tanked in top 25, got throttled. First of all, FSU lost to an ACC school. See, I don't think you can really qualify that. Miami, on the other hand, they got killed.
Yeah. Very happy about that, coming from my my angle. But I mean, yeah, I think it's too early to say any one conference might be a dumpster fire. It is a little surprising that your two teams you were banking on.
Pac-12 could be a dumpster fire.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
They're not looking good.
Yeah.
This next one seems a little familiar. Why don't you read this next one?
Yeah. So this one, this was the first response we got, and I just had to throw it in there. At JW5, standing to my right, your left, all he said was, Hokies! Very excited.
Very excited. That was Tuesday morning after that late night victory, so I was excited.
Yeah, and obviously so. They came out. I think a lot of people wrote Virginia Tech off in this game, and obviously they pulled out a win over Florida State, which it's always fun beating the Seminoles,
Yeah, is Tech that good, or is Florida State that bad? So that's a bunch of questions that come week one. But moving on to another game during week one, Alabama got no surprise here.
Yeah.
Over Louisville.
Yeah, I had no surprise. Everybody expected this to happen. Here's kind of my 2 cents on the game. Obviously, Tua went out there, played really well. He won the job, but I will say this: do not be surprised if Jalen ends up playing later in the year. I think Tua was aided by a lot of players around him, which we have seen historically from Alabama quarterbacks, is that if you're a game manager, you can play quarterback back there. But he made a couple of decisions that were highly questionable early on in the game, in my opinion. So if he continues to make some questionable decisions, maybe Jalen Hurts comes back in later in the year.
You never know if he gets hurt or something
Heaven forbid
else.
he gets hurt. I do think we'll see more of Jalen Hurts this year.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Michigan Notre Dame. Michigan looked pretty rough.
Yeah, I think after that, Harbaugh is got to be in the hot seat. He's not a loudmouth coach, but he's very adamant about things that they're doing. Was very adamant about what he wanted to do at Michigan.
This is like his 4th year there now.
Third or fourth. Either way, I mean, he has not performed up to the level that everybody thought he would.
Or Michigan standards.
Michigan standards.
You have to win to be a Michigan head coach.
And I think, I don't know what the stat was, and I should have had this pulled up, but I think he's literally only won 2 or 3 of his games against top 20 opponents at Michigan, which is, once again, from a marquee program like Michigan, is not what you want. No. And especially a guy that has done well in the college level and at the NFL level, you would expect more out of him.
I saw something where his last 18 games, he was 500.
Yeah.
9-9.
Yeah.
Like, that's not good.
No.
This next game surprised me a little bit. West Virginia, Tennessee. We thought Tennessee would show up a little bit more than they did.
I did. I thought this would be a little bit closer of a game. I'll say this: Jeremy Pruitt is doing the best he can with what he can at Tennessee. Tennessee has really had about 8 or 9 years of just being decimated by poor coaching hires, and he's coming in and really trying to change the culture. I think it's going to be a long year for him. They really were not ready for Will Grier and the West Virginia offense. Will Grier played really, really well. They're talking about a Heisman campaign for him. It's very early in the season. I'm not sure he's going to win the Heisman, but man, he played really, really well against a pretty average Tennessee team, but we'll see how it plays out over the year.
And the Big 12, they don't have the defenses that SEC schools usually have. So
exactly. So he could end up putting up some monster numbers throughout this year.
50 to 60 points a game, you never know.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to watch, especially kind of from where he's come, starting out at Florida and just kind of bouncing around. It'd be nice to see kind of a nice bookend on his story, if you will.
Mm-hmm. LSU versus Miami. We touched on this a little bit. Miami just turned the ball over a little bit, and the turnover chain didn't even come out.
Yeah, I was pretty excited about the turnover chain not coming out, and I could talk on this game for like 20 minutes if y'all let me. I'll say this. So as much as I was very, very happy to see LSU win as an LSU fan, I think the offense is still going to struggle this year. I think we're seeing a lot of the same problems. Especially the announcers on the game talked about how there were a couple big plays. If you really watch the film, Ersminger, the LSU offensive coordinator, really got lucky. He called a couple plays into a blitz. I know he did not know that they were going to blitz, and then they break a 40-yard run for a touchdown. It's a lot of the same problems. It's great to have a competent quarterback like Joe Burrow back there calling the plays, but I think you're still going to see a lot of the same problems. I was really, really, really disappointed with the interior offensive line versus Miami. Miami literally had a defensive tackle, number 9. I watched this. He literally pointed to to a guard, said, "I'm coming for you. I'm coming for the quarterback." Did a little push-pull move and was in Joe Burrow's face in about 1.75 seconds.
That's quick.
It's pretty pathetic.
Speaking of hot seat, Ed O probably was on that hot seat, but after that win, it cooled down a little bit.
Very minute amount. I think Orgeron will make it through this season, and as long as he plays well against all the teams he's going to, I think he'll do well, but I do worry about that interior offensive line against very strong defensive lines around the SEC.
So probably the biggest game of the weekend, Auburn versus Washington. I had Washington winning this one.
Yeah.
Auburn ended up taking it away from them. Close game, but they took it.
Yeah, I was surprised by Auburn. I thought overall they played pretty well. I thought it was a good quality win out of conference against a team that I think will do really well in their conference. I think Washington will end up doing well. I was not impressed with Jared Stedham. And I know one of the guys over at Saturday Down South said that Stedham played really well. He played great. I thought he was lackluster at best. And I will literally fight you on this, old Chris at Saturday Down South. I was not impressed with Stedham. I think he's a game manager that will be an average quarterback. But he does have the advantage of having some really good talent around him.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he steps up that play in week 2.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they squeaked out with a win there. And Atlanta, you'd think they should do that with Washington coming 5,000 miles away. Exactly.
It's a little bit of a home game for them. So, going over all those games kind of takes us into the next topic we're going to cover. Last year, one of the hottest things in college football was the Miami turnover chain. Once again, as an LSU fan this weekend, it was great to not see the turnover chain. But there have been a lot of imitators over the past year or so. And I think it's just gotten, not necessarily out of control, but I think it's hilarious that everybody wants to put their own spin on it and have something fun to do on the sideline after
I'm not a big fan of the turnover chain, but it's a lot better than that Tennessee trash can that they bought from Lowe's. I mean, that's just bad.
Yeah, that was I remember watching that game with my wife's family, who they're all big Tennessee fans, and we have a group text of a lot of different people, and I think my brother-in-law was out and couldn't be with us, and he was like, "What in the world is that trash can on the sidelines?" But I mean,
whatever gets the players excited, but
the trash can was not.
You gotta get more creative than
the trash can. I mean, I like like you said, I like the sentiment of getting the players hyped, but that just didn't work for them.
And in my opinion, that trash can and the turnover thrown by Boise State this week, they go hand in hand as the worst ideas I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, the turnover thrown is just terrible. It's a big, imagine a chair a queen would sit in, and it
spray painted silver.
Yeah, it doesn't strike me as something cool. It doesn't get me fired up. If I'm a defensive lineman, I strip the ball, I recover it, and I'm not getting very far because I'm a fat guy and I
not
get
to mention
tackled.
they were playing Troy.
Yeah,
like they were at Troy.
Yeah.
They weren't even home. They had to bring that thing all the way across country to Troy, Alabama.
Yeah, it's not something I'm getting hype about as a defensive player. I mean, maybe they can rally around it, but to me, it's not something that exudes cool factor.
What would you say your favorite one of all time is, if you had to pick one?
So right now, I think my favorite one is actually the turnover beads from Tulane. It's kind of cheesy. It's in the exact same vein as the Miami turnover chain, but it's super hyper niche to Tulane and New Orleans. I mean, You're in New Orleans, you've got the history of Mardi Gras there. It's a city that's a lot of fun.
Got some heritage to it,
Yeah,
some tradition.
and you've got these big, they're not like a string of beads that you're getting on Bourbon Street. They're big, fat, round beads that are, like I said, that's pretty cool for Tulane. Trying to get a little creative with it.
Yeah, I'm going to go. My favorite one was probably the UGA pads, the turnover pads.
Yeah.
They had spikes all over them.
I mean,
that's better than a chain, better than a throne, in my opinion. But beads are cool too.
Yeah, no, once again, I think both of those are awesome. And then, going into some of the more ridiculous ones, last year Kennesaw State had the turnover plank. And if you've ever seen Ed, and Eddie,
Never heard of this one, but
it made a debut last year towards the end of the year. I thought it was hilarious. Once again, if you watch,
they probably didn't cause many turnovers.
Yeah, I don't think people were getting hype about the turnover plank, but it was pretty comical to see these guys walking off a bus, full suits, headphones on, 2x4 in hand.
Yeah, that can be kind of scary. What's that walking tall where the rock carries a plank around all the time?
Yeah, but it's not as cool as that.
You kind of have to be the rock to
exactly.
make that cool.
You've got a 2x6 with a spray painted face on it. No, and it's not long. You can even hit somebody with it. It's about 3 feet. It's kind of just funny at this point.
So going back to last week, our picks, we didn't do terrible. We tied though, 4-2 each.
I'll take it going into week one where everything's so unknown. Would I have wanted better? Sure, but once again, I can't complain.
Yeah. Going to week two, there's really not many games to pick from. Not many exciting ones. We've got Georgia and South Carolina coming up in Columbia. I will be at that game.
I was about to say, you're going to be there.
I will be in Columbia for that game. I'm going to go with the home team there.
That's bold.
That it is a bold statement, but what our buddies say, Spurs up.
Hashtag Spurs up.
And the calm before the storm, he might have been talking about this game. We'll see.
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going Georgia. I think they're going to be pretty dominant over South Carolina. They have not, shown us anything else because they played Austin Peay first week. But I have faith in Georgia to go in and dominate this game and do really well.
Okay. So starting off different.
Yeah, a little bit different.
Okay.
We'll see.
Pac-12, biggest game there, Stanford, USC. It's a solid matchup. I'm going to go USC.
Once again, I'm going the other way. I love the fact that we're seeing some early rivalries in the season. I'm going Stanford. I think they have a better ball. I think they have a better ball team. I think they return a few more starters than USC does, and it's at home. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be within 7 to 10 points. But I'm going Stanford.
Okay. Good. You go to a little Big 12 SEC matchup with Mississippi State and Kansas State. Mississippi State ranked 18th this week. I'm going to go with the top ranked team.
Yeah,
Mississippi State.
Yeah, I'm going Mississippi State. I don't know how Snyder at Kansas State still has a job after just decades of mediocrity. I think Mississippi State puts this away pretty handily by about 14 points.
And going into next week, they could use some momentum because they go into Texas A&M, who we're going to talk about next.
Yeah.
Texas A&M versus Clemson. I've got Clemson. I'm going to stick with ACC.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think Clemson comes in, and Texas A&M, I just don't think they're going to be able to keep up. Jimbo, I just don't think it's going to happen for them. I think Clemson is one of the better teams in the country, and they have been consistently over the past few years. They've got a lot of talent coming back, but we'll see on Saturday.
Texas A&M goes Clemson this week, Mississippi State next week, and then Alabama comes to town.
That's a rough stretch of games.
That's not a good stretch.
No, I don't know that they come out of that with one win.
victory.
Yeah, I was about to say one win would be great coming out of that.
Jimbo might be 1-3 starting the season off.
And Jimbo might be in the hot seat after this season with as much money as they're paying him.
That is true, but I don't think he'll cry too much going to the bank. But
exactly.
Another rivalry to end our picks this week, Iowa versus Iowa State. I'm going to go Iowa, and I just think they're more fierce on defense. They've got a better, consistently played offense. I go Iowa.
I agree with you. I go Iowa. I think it's going to be a real close game. Iowa State returns a lot of starters from last year, where this was a 44-41 game. It was real close, but I think Iowa pulls it out at home, just because rivalry game at home, really, really fun to get excited for. I think they pull this one out.
Going from that game into our little spot that we're doing every week now.
Yeah.
The tradition of the week. Last week it was Florida State's war chant, which Virginia Tech ended up doing on their home field.
I love that as a troll at the end of the game. You can't get any better.
It feels good. It might be a little disrespecting, but I really don't care. We have the Iowa Wave, which is new in the last few years.
Yeah.
Waving to the Children's Hospital, the new Children's Hospital that was built that overlooks the stadium. This could be argued the best tradition in sports.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree. It's one of those things that is just extremely heartwarming. It's really cool that not only has Iowa bought into this, but even visiting teams have bought into it, and I think that's just a sign of respect. You know, you can hate the people that you're playing on the other side of the field, but man, it's for
it's
kids.
It's just a sport.
Yeah.
This reminds you that we're just playing a game here.
Exactly.
What those kids are going through, it's not a game.
No, and it's so much bigger than that. You know, like you said, they're lucky enough to be able to get out there and play football, and these kids are just getting to kind of take that in a little bit. And I think, like you said, it's potentially one of the coolest traditions in sports.
Mm-hmm. So going from the tailgate tradition of the week, whatever we're calling it, to our tailgate drink of the week.
Drink of the week.
This is a classic.
Yeah, this is one that, no matter where you go in the country, you can get a Bloody Mary. And there's a reason Bloody Marys and tailgates go hand in hand. Most of the time, you were probably drinking a little bit the night before, maybe not feeling 100%. Bloody Mary could be kind of the thing that gets you over the hump to get ready for game day. You know, it's got
this delays that headache
a little bit longer.
Yeah, a little bit longer.
Yeah.
You don't want to have a headache during a football game.
No,
So.
And there's nothing better than a little bit of tomato juice, Tabasco, Worcestershire, just getting up in your nose first thing in the morning. You know, like I said, it's a classic drink. You can get it anywhere in the country.
I've got to have the celery in there.
You got to.
That's one of my favorite parts.
The garnishes the past few years have gotten out of control. You got people putting fried chicken on it and sliders and brownies even. It's a little much, but once again, this is a classic tailgate drink that no matter if you're in the Northeast, Southeast, you're on left coast of California, it's something that everybody can get behind.
Yep, and then with that drink of the week, that has wrapped up our episode 9 podcast.
Yeah.
And do not forget that 35% off Game Day Podcast promo. Game Day Podcast.
All one word.
All one word, no spaces. We're not making it difficult on you. And remember who was the one you made a bet with?
What's his name? Hold up, I will find it. Dakota Show 0. We're gonna message you after this to make sure you listen to
I'm hoping
the
Virginia
podcast.
Tech's a playoff contender. If that happens, giving you $50.
Oh yeah, so this is big. So everybody, make sure to razz me at the end of the season if I'm wrong. And other than that,
And don't forget to message us on Instagram, Facebook. Talk about next week's topics.
yeah,
And if you want to make a bet with us, we'll give you a gift card if you're going to be right. Maybe we'll add a guest picker next
Potentially,
week.
yeah.
And if they're better than us, we send them a hat or something.
maybe, yeah. If you want to be a guest, actually, let's just go ahead and put it out there. If you want to be a guest picker on the podcast, send us a message on Instagram, and we'll connect and potentially try and schedule something where you can go in and call in, and we'll go ahead and put you on the podcast.
Yeah. And if you're better than both of us, you get a hat.
You get a hat. That's a pretty sweet
Hat
deal.
of your choice. We have every state. All 50.
All 50 states. Every FBS team, some FCS teams, pretty much anything you want, we got it.
Trucker. We got puffy hats. We got anything.
Anything you want.
All right. Well, that's it for episode 9.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing y'all next week.
It's a tradition.